Hi everyone, I'm Margarita Muradova, a personal stylist and fashion consultant from Kyiv, Ukraine, and in today's video we're going to talk about some of the most interesting and popular aesthetics for this summer. Aesthetics is specifically something that is a combination of different things in an outfit, so accessories and clothes, that kind of gives off a specific vibe. So for example, you've heard of Balletcore, you've heard of Mermaidcore, etc. Those are the facts that we're going to discuss later on today. So basically a combination of different things in an outfit that kind of gives off a specific vibe, era, style, aesthetic, whatever it is. This is something that is going to be very popular for this summer specifically. And aesthetics are actually so big this year. Everything is about aesthetics, so let's just dive into this video. But before we start, actually, I just want to remind you that since I'm a Ukrainian fashion stylist, I would like for you to kind of get to know what's happening in Ukraine more, and maybe if you're willing to participate a little bit in order to help Ukraine fight this war against Russia and Russia's invasion in Ukraine. So I'll always have, forever and always until the end of this brutal war, I'll have some useful links for, first of all, supporting Ukrainian defense systems. Also, I'll have some useful links for tried and true actual real news about Ukraine and what's happening here. Those are Telegram channels, etc. And I'm going to have some links to donate to Ukrainian survivors and refugees of this war. So yeah, obviously participate at your own will, but since I'm Ukrainian blogger, since I'm currently living in Kyiv, Ukraine, and this is something that's very kind of close and near and dear to my heart because we live here, we experience this, and even though I keep doing this work, I keep doing these videos, I'm smiling, etc., we have air raid sirens almost every night at like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. There were a lot of rocket launches from Russia into Ukraine these past couple of days. There were explosions all over Ukraine, so it's not like everything's over and we're very like happy and the war is over. It's still going on. It's just that we kind of have to keep living and enjoying our life and do what we do in order to support our country and also to support our sanity. So that's the reason you don't see me crying 24/7. But in all actuality, we still have a very brutal war here. It's not actual fight, like actual open battle here in Kyiv, but there's so many rocket launches all over Ukraine almost every day, and to some cities it happens a couple of times a day at least. It's almost insane and impossible to comprehend. So since I feel like I am kind of in a way like an ambassador of what's happening there to the English-speaking world, I feel like it's very important for you to know. So yeah, this is it. This is all I wanted to say. And if you're willing to, if you feel like you have this pull to donate, obviously do this. I'd be very appreciative of this. And without further ado, let's get into this whole video. And the first aesthetic is something that's very funny to me specifically. It's Mermaidcore. And to me personally, first of all, The Little Mermaid was literally my favorite cartoon, Disney cartoon of all time. Her song, her aesthetic, everything about her. So it's so funny to me that this is like an aesthetic. So what Mermaidcore is and what it was during the fashion shows, it's all about this whole marine topic. So waves, neutral, wavy tones, something that reminds us of the ocean life and wildlife in the ocean. So like dolphins and mermaids, starfishes, everything this specific like lagoon blue color, specific materials and plasticky materials that remind us of the ocean and the ocean kind of texture in a way. Obviously something that's also very specifically mermaidy inspired. So crop tops and longer maxi skirts in combination with each other, those definitely ring true to this whole mermaid aesthetic. And some accessories that are kind of sea oceany inspired in a way. And obviously in order to create kind of a balanced look. You don't necessarily have to do an all-out mermaid look. You can get only one item. For example, everything could be pretty basic, like a maxi skirt, a like crop top, a heel, and then a cute mermaid or ocean inspired accessory like a hair tie, hairpin, maybe a bag, a clutch, maybe shoes with some brooches with like starfishes and stuff. This could be totally it and enough in order to channel that mermaid core aesthetic but not go over the top, if you know what I mean. The next aesthetic that's going to be very in for the summer and actually the rest of the year is grunge. Grunge is very in, and grunge is something that looks very like battered, worn out. Think worn out and vintage looking leather, ripped clothes. This is grunge in its core, and I love it because it's so messy and because it's so easy actually, despite the look of it, to style with other things and to mix and match. So for example, in order to look kind of grungy, what you can actually take like a grungy style, torn out, like battered looking t-shirt, and then your casual jean shorts, or a very classic tailored pant, or leather pants, not for the summer, but you know what I mean. You can always mix and match different styles in order to create a balance to a look, but also in order to incorporate something that you'd like. So you don't necessarily need to wear everything grungy. Only one item in your look would be totally enough to channel that aesthetic. The next one is something I'm pretty sure everyone's heard of at this point. It's Balletcore. And I actually enjoy Balletcore. I must say that definitely Balletcore is the aesthetic of 2023, but it's going to be no more in 2024. So make sure that you don't overdo in terms of shopping for the Balletcore, because it's something that's not very long lasting in terms of trend kind of length. So this one is something that I suggest tapping into very carefully, because you can go overboard very quickly and these things would not be very popular in a couple of years, even in a year. So what I suggest going for is something that's more timeless and neutral looking. So for example, like ballet flats and Mary Jane in ballet flat aesthetic. So something that's like Miu Miu ballet flat Mary Jane aesthetic and inspired, but not for that price point, because for me personally, that's not something that's going to survive a couple of years in your wardrobe. So obviously something from Mango, Zara, your local brands, something niche, but also like a ballet style skirt by, the inspiration is thinking Orso & Iris. This is a New York based brand, but also like a ballet style cottony dress. And I'm gonna show you an example of an amazing Ukrainian brand that did this whole like Balletcore inspired collection, but it's so neutral and so basic in a way, still having that aesthetic in mind, which I feel like is the best approach to Balletcore in my mind in order to make it long lasting. So I feel like this dress with some ballet flats or even with heels would definitely give off that Balletcore aesthetic, but without the whole hassle of like creating the whole ballerina look, if you know what I mean. And obviously also what's very Balletcore, and it's not talked about I feel like enough, is shorter bolero style cardigans, like wraparound cardigans. Those are so cute and they're also pretty timeless. So for example, you could go and wear this kind of a cardigan but with a maxi longer kind of a silky satiny skirt or satin pants and heels or no heels or even ballet flats and a clutch. And this would look so timeless and like dainty and romantic and beautiful and feminine, yet this is going to play into this whole Balletcore aesthetic without being over the top. The next aesthetic is everything that's sheer, and this is definitely inspired by the 90s. I'm gonna show you a couple of examples of like Miu Miu and Prada shows with everything like sheer, dresses, skirts, tops, bras, everything, and it looks so seductive and beautiful. Obviously it's not very wearable if you're wearing everything that's very sheer outside, but some things like a sheer kind of a skirt but with a short underneath it, or a sheer kind of a blouse but with a very cute bra or bralette, it would definitely work. And I feel like the less the better. So in terms of sheerness, I think one sheer item per look is the best ratio, not to go overboard, but still kind of to tap into that aesthetic. And I love sheer everything. It looks very seductive and beautiful and feminine, and I feel like it works for summer perfectly. And if you're not into this whole very sheer aesthetic in terms of like revealing yourself, I feel like the best way to go about it is to kind of layer with a sheer blouse slash shirt over your like tank top and pants, and this would still tap into that aesthetic but would not be too revealing and sexy. The next one is definitely Succession inspired. And if you don't know about Succession, this is a series that's so popular, and rightfully so, because it's so unique. The dialogues there are to die for. This is basically by far my favorite TV show over the course of the last couple of years, for sure. The drama there, the laughs there, the dialogues. I could quote a lot of stuff in there. I just love the characters, the narrative. It's so unusual and so interesting. That's one thing. Another thing is that everyone and their mother's been talking about this whole quiet luxury aesthetic. And it feels like the people have just discovered that like very rich, like billionaires, rich people mostly wear this whole quiet luxury things. So something that's labelless, something that doesn't give off necessarily like I'm rich vibes, but actually is very expensive and very rare. So something that's like Loro Piana style, like very underrated, under the radar brand, but actually all the billionaires wear it and know about it. So this whole quiet luxury aesthetic could also honestly be achieved with quality materials, but from actually even mass market and middle market brands. So you don't necessarily have to pay this like huge check for something in order to look like this, in order to go into that whole quiet luxury segment. And you can obviously mix and match different things, but in all actuality, the main thing about quiet luxury is less prints, neutral tones, quality materials, something that's very tactile, and monochromatic looks. That's it. And if you want me to go and make a separate video about how to dress quiet luxury on a budget, do let me know and I'll make sure to do that one for you. And the last aesthetic that we have for this summer is futuristic, and specifically like a mix of futuristic and utility. So think jumpsuit, but with like some metallic-y things on it, and something that's like zippery and looks like something you would wear on a Star Trek on Star Wars. So I love these two combined together. I love futuristic vibes. Futuristic is something that's going to be very popular this year and a couple of years in advance. So just make sure that you have a couple of these things in your closet, because this trend is not going to fade away quickly. And I feel like it's such a beautiful trend to experiment with, because it's so like neoprene, futuristic. And then you can always mix and match this with something that's very diagonally different in terms of style direction. So when this is futuristic, so it's very like utilitarian, very, I'd say, masculine inspired, so clean shapes and very angular. Futuristic goes amazingly with something totally different, like very feminine skirts and dresses and silky pants, etc. So you can always kind of experiment in this way and with this aesthetic and still keep your personal style intact. And this is it for this video. Let me know in the comments below which aesthetic is you, to a point where you feel like you need to experiment with this specific thing for this summer, and something that's not you at all of all of these aesthetics for summer 2023. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!